In today's video, we're gonna take a look at probably one of the best fighting animes to ever exist. Don't boo me yet, cause I know Baki is a great anime, but it's not really about fighting. It's just about the most diabolical stuff the author could come up with. For Kengan though, it's actually about fighting, and you're about to see why Kengan is the anime for you if you want to go challenge random overpowered grannies on the streets. This old man is Kazi. He's about to be the strongest man in the world, as strong as Goku. But right now, he's an average depressed mappa animator. He ends up seeing two men going into the alleyway, so he follows them and turns out that these guys are about to throw down. Now, Kazi has a size kink, so he thinks that the smaller guy is about to get folded. Big guy rips his clothes off and turns out that he's actually off-brand Hanayama. Big dude begins swinging heavy and trying to knock out the air. Kazi tries to gag and finger his throat while watching these two burly men throw down. As these two begin fighting, the small guy manages to continue dodging the big guy's attack, but glass gets kicked towards him, but he just blocks it. The big guy charges him, but the guy teleports out of the way. Kazi continues drooling and moaning, but as the big guy gets decked in the face and gets sent rolling back, it's clear that we might have just met the main character. The big guy charges forward, but gets stunned by the max level Latina enjoyer. Big dude gets up and tries to do the same thing, but his arm gets grabbed and then broken in an instant. He still tries to go on, but the guy begins beating him up before completely finishing him. The man walks off nonchalantly, and Kazi's over here crapping himself. Kazi suddenly becomes one of this random guy's Simps and asks for his name. It's Ohma, the main character. Ohma here asks for Kazi's name, but Kazi opens his mouth wide for this man. Ohma here asks if he wants to fight, since he has his mouth open for some reason. Kazi though begins aggressively mouth breathing. No! Ohma walks off, realizing that Kazi is a bit of a weirdo. Kazi falls on his ass and begins inhaling all the world's oxygen. We see this man now running through the streets like a madman. He ends up clapping some chickens while making this horrifying face, which you should all do when you're doing PB training. It guarantees pregnancy. Kazi the next day is being scolded by his manager. He's a mappa animator. It's clear just by looking at his dead appearance. Kazi at least has some balls, cause he wants to get strong and show his boss who's boss. Suddenly, this behemoth comes in and tells Kazi that someone wants to see him. Kazi, what the hell do you do this time? We could tell Kazi's life is already horrible as it is, but luckily, it's only gonna get better as he's now in front of the chairman of the company he works at. The chairman goes on a horrendously long rant, but I'll summarize it. Merchants used to kill each other to solve conflict, but a young shogun proposed that they should give each other brain damage instead. Chairman lets Kazi know that it's still happening, and this is when Ohma suddenly comes in and turns out that Ohma is the new representative for the company, and Kazi is his caretaker. After this, Kazi's whipping up some Lunchables in the kitchen. He puts it in front of this door, and this hideous thing crawls out and grabs it. That's his 25-year-old son, who has never seen the light of day. Kazi has another son who went missing. His wife also ran off somewhere, so I guess Kazi has a pretty shit life. Kazi shows up to this abandoned place, which is supposed to be Ohma's home. Even Kazi's like, ain't no way someone lives here. Kazi walks in and sees blood splattering out. He goes to investigate, but sees this man covered in blood. He freaks out like a little girl, but turns out that it's just Ohma. Kazi offers to call the ambulance, but gets rejected by Ohma, who says it's not his blood. Kazi turns to his right and sees a giant hog, which causes him to have a panic attack. Ohma is now enjoying his food, but Kazi begins gawking at his body and begins blushing like an anime chick. Suddenly, some people invade Ohma's luxurious home. It turns out that it's this guy who looks like a cancer patient. This guy dashes at Ohma and begins barraging him. He tries to land a high kick, but Ohma kicks this brother's nuts into the shadow realm. Wow, kinda pathetic after that dramatic entrance. The other guy steps forward, but this cancer patient is on the ground whining. But he gets killed by this guy, and this guy approaches Ohma and tells him that him and Ohma are gonna fight for some random rich folks. It's the next day, and Kazi here has his mouth open again, while these rich guys are talking about battling for the opportunity to claim the skyscraper for 100 billion yen, which is over half a billion McDonald's burgers. The fight takes place in this ghetto place. It's even raining, so we get to see some people die from the cold. Ohma begins hopping like an Easter bunny, and they soon get into the face-off. The referee tells them to fight, but both fighters are just kissing each other with their eyes. They suddenly launch at each other, which Ohma lands the first punch, but dude punches Ohma and sends him back. Ohma is being chased down by this special kid and knees him, and then begins beating his ass like an alcoholic father. As Ohma tries to finish him, he suddenly scratches Ohma. Ohma backs up and realizes that this man is using a move that only women use. Special kid begins charging forward and begins scratching Ohma. He tries to do it again, but Ohma kicks him in the face. But dude gets up thinking that he did something by scratching someone with his fingernails. I was trying to aim for your G-spot with that move, but I guess you just got lucky, human. What? Human? Buddy, Are you right in the head? This guy suddenly reveals that he's one of the special kids. Ohma has no filter, so he approaches this man and crushes his dreams of being a superhero by suddenly clasping their hands together in an intimate gesture. This is this guy's weakness, so he instead tries to overpower Ohma, but Ohma knocks him to the ground before kicking him. He tries to scratch Ohma, but gets turned into a ballerina. Ohma pretty much manhandles him by soccer kicking his head and using Aikido to take him down. Ohma now stands over him, ready to touch him. He gets kicked in the face and then completely finished. Ohma is the winner, and Kazi is ready to give him the heavenly suck, but they go out for a drink instead. Ohma got some money, but he says that he likes being a homeless person. Oh, so that's where his powers come from. So if y'all want to be like this man, just be homeless.
Ohma, why do you fight? There's 12,000 fighters in this Kengan Ashura tournament. Each one of those fighters has 8 fights per year. A lot of them die every year. So why do you want to risk your life if it's not for money?
Shawty makes a great point, which Ohma says that he just likes beating up random folks. Ohma actually has some inner demons, and he has a reason to fight, which he doesn't share. But I'm gonna tell y'all right now, the reason for him fighting doesn't make sense, and it doesn't even hold up in the future. We about to see Ohma now, about to face off against Hulk. He's a Hell's Angel guy who does WWE, so we're about to see some sick shit. The fight starts and dude tries to speak, but Ohma busts his lips and begins comboing him. Dude stops Ohma and suddenly throws him before trying to stop Ohma. He tries to attack Ohma, but Ohma just dodges it and counters him. As Ohma continues to do this, Hulk suddenly sends him flying with a kick into someone's $5 billion Bugatti. Hulk laughs and says that it's okay for Ohma to run away, but for him, he has a duty no matter what, and calls Ohma a peasant. Ohma approaches him and suddenly pinches him. Hey, stop diddling me. Ohma laughs and makes Hulk mad, which he tries to hit Ohma, but Ohma uses Aikido and moves him around without even touching him. He kicks the guy and begins comboing him. As Ohma tries to finish him, Hulk grabs his nuts and picks him up. He slams Ohma into the ground, which wins him. He got slammed so damn hard that there was a crater. Ohma then gets suplexed into the ground. Kazi's like, ain't no way, Ohma is the main character. As Ohma continues to get whooped, a drunk guy begins shouting that Ohma is cooked. Kazi though, like the Ohma simp he is, shouts, hey, Ohma is definitely gonna win. He then begins aggressively mouth breathing. Hulk suddenly picks up Ohma and begins trying to break him into two. But as everyone thinks that Ohma is gonna die, he taps into his inner plot armor. He begins violently shaking. Everyone is wondering what is going on as bro begins moving like he's possessed. He jumps up Hulk, which Hulk notices that his fingers are broken. What did you do?
His fingers. What did I do? What I did was I took out a small loan.
Ohma charges him and begins beating him up and pummeling his face in. Kazi's like, that is not Ohma, that's a different animal. As Ohma uppercuts this man, Hulk gets excited and smacks Ohma. He tries to turn the tables, but Ohma decks him and continues to beat on him. Hulk is actually taking his blows and begins stepping forward. He tries to jump scare Ohma, but Ohma kicks him away. Kazi's like, nah, who is this demon? Hulk is on the verge of dying as Ohma kicks him, but he grabs Ohma and smashes his head in against his, before WWE kicking him into a concrete pillar. Ohma gets up and Hulk begins hyping up the crowd. He charges Ohma, but Ohma suddenly dashes forward and kills this man on the spot. Everyone is confused on what is happening. Ohma stands up and his fingers are completely broken after fingering that man's throat into oblivion. Drunk Guy and Kazi suddenly become friends, but Mr. President Dry Tuna shows up. Everyone's like, I can feel bro's aura. Hulk gets up, looking like a beaten wife. Everyone pretty much begins glazing the president, and he announces that he's gonna start a tournament called the Kengan Annihilation Tournament. Everyone begins talking about the fighter who's representing this old man is called Fang. After the glazing, Ohma is now choking this man and trying to get him to call him daddy. But this man is stubborn and reveals that he doesn't want Ohma to represent him, since Ohma is a homeless man who he randomly hired. A hippie suddenly comes in and it turns out that this guy hired a hippie instead of a homeless man. Hey old man, do you need help? Can't you tell just by looking? Okay. Well, if you don't mind me using force, do you? Ohma doubts this man, but he appears beside Ohma and grabs his arm like a mom. Ohma gets angry and tries to attack him, but the hippie is like a Dragon Ball Z character who has Ultra Instinct. He suddenly begins harassing the only waifu in this anime so far. This makes Ohma jealous and he begins going demon time. This man approaches Ohma and tries to smack him, but Ohma blocks it. They face off, which Ohma charges him. They continue the trade, which man gets on his knees to give Ohma a suck, but Ohma kicks him and sends him back. Dude suddenly brings up the N-word style, which has Ohma angry, and he begins choking and trying to get this man to call him daddy. The guy is like, nah, you gotta build up more rep. That's enough. Ohma stops the fight and explains that he doesn't want Ohma to represent him in the tournament. But that doesn't mean he can't join the tournament himself. Remember, Ohma is not a merchant, so he can't compete. But if Kazi here becomes a merchant, he can. Kazi gets thrown into the role, which he begins sweating his balls off. He tries to reject the role, but Ohma shows up and says, yes, we'll do it. Kazi tries to shut the idea down, but Ohma threatens to choke him as well.
Whatever daddy wants, daddy gets.
So he ends up having to give in. Ohma is now in this unofficial fight, where if he wins, he'll be able to compete in the Kengan tournament. Kazi doesn't look very happy, as he is now $100,000 in debt due to this fight. The fight begins, but Ohma just smashes his face in one hit. After this, Kazi goes to meet up with this drunk guy, who's in this giant building. The drunk guy turns out to be one of the biggest businessmen in whatever this takes place in. He reveals that he's gonna be part of the Annihilation tournament. They actually end up becoming best friends. Ohma, though, is in the middle of nowhere training. He lays down and begins having traumatic memories, which, no! A diddler appears. Ohma tries to back away, but this man dashes in and begins brutally touching our boy Ohma. He puts his finger on his lips and says that he's killed Ohma's enemy. Do it, Ohma. Do it without protection. This became so weird that Ohma says, screw revenge. I don't want to be diddled. So he ends up having a I have no enemies moment. This creepy guy is now Ohma's simp. So Ohma now has a total of 3 Simps. We might as well put up a simp counter. Before Kazi leaves, he talks to his son and tells him where he's gonna go. Ohma and Kazi are now here, and as they think that they're about to hop onto this luxurious and nice mega yacht, they instead are told to go onto this cargo ship that looks like it's been through hell. They get into this crowded, musty room, which a guy tells them to split between fighters and managers. Turns out that there's going to be a battle royale type thing where only 5 competitors move on to the actual tournament. As Kazi and Girly are watching from above, Ohma makes the gawk gawk gesture. Kazi's like, oh, the Haktua. But as he's about to go down and give Ohma the Haktua, the girl ends up wanting to give the gawk to Ohma. Yes, she's simp number 1. Ohma drinks some bath water, which Girly tries to leave, but the door suddenly closes, which makes her realize that Ohma is gonna have to protect her from everyone. Chaos quickly erupts as everyone fights for the chance to be part of the Kengan tournament. 2 side characters suddenly appear though, and as they attack Ohma, they end up punching each other. Ohma successfully protects his kin, which a bunch of people try to gang up on him. But another one of Ohma's simps appears, which as he tries to go towards Ohma, an obese guy tries to stand in his way of kissing Ohma, but he gets fingered to death. He approaches Ohma, but suddenly sees the most caked up woman in the world. So instead of simping for Ohma, he ends up simping for this girl instead. Do you have a boyfriend? He ends up befriending Ohma, and as these side characters attack him, Ohma combos them. They begin dropping bodies, but something weird suddenly appears. This guy comes in like a missile, killing 6 people with 1 hit. Turns out that he's an American, judging by the unhinged behavior that every American foreigner inherits the moment they step out of their own country. This guy loads up an attack, which he launches himself forward, which Ohma dodges. He does it again at a very fast speed, but a dumbass side character tries to attack him, but ends up getting folded. He tries to blast at Ohma again, but Ohma redirects him towards a wall. But he grins and just uses the wall to boost himself forward towards Ohma. Wait, no? Towards Ohma's kin? As he tries to stop himself, he fails. But luckily, Ohma appears to protect his precious kin. He begins flirting with his kin mid-fight, which she blushes, and I really hope that he gets some cheeks. This American guy blasts forward once again, and as he lands, Ohma uses his back and sends him flying. We have a few other competitors who have also succeeded. Ohma is actually being stalked by one of the simps, which you guys will see that this brother Ohma gathers like an entire army of meat riders. They get in front of this old man who ends up flaming them. But this guy steps forward and says, "Why are we here?" This creature is in the back being a weirdo, and this guy suddenly says, "Shut up, peasant," which makes this guy angry. He approaches this old man, but as he tries to attack, the bodyguard counters him. He ends up looking like a goofy and gets sent flying into the ocean. Everyone is shocked at how strong the bodyguards are. Later, everyone is at this fancy welcoming party. Special Kid here is trying to woo this girl up, but we got more important things to deal with, cause almost honorary simp is after his cheeks. Special Kid is now being scolded after losing all their money at the casino, while Ohma here is being scolded for adding 5 more simps to his army. Suddenly though, another person appears and dashes in. Everyone manages to get out of the way, but the person stands up. Special Kid tries to attack them, but the person just smashes his face in. She then goes after Ohma. Ohma dodges all of the attacks before suddenly kicking the legs, but they attempt to knee him, which Ohma is impressed and they begin to face off. Ohma tries to attack them, but ends up getting grabbed by his shirt, and the unknown person begins me riding Ohma. Ohma has enough me rider, so I don't know who this is. Ohma though is a chance, so he tries to finish them off. But as he does, it comes to a stalemate. Ohma actually stopped because it was a girl. A girl who's a miner for Minecraft. Ohma asks what the hell she wants, but she pulls this man in and says, "I really want your babies." Shocking everyone. Girl here introduces herself as Carla and tells Ohma to be her husband. Pretty much Ohma now has another simp, but this one is actually level 100. Ohma though is like, "Hey yo, I'm 30 and you're a Minecraft enjoyer." As she becomes crazier, Ohma sets her down gently before running off. Some guys appear to take Carla back to her grandpa, but she turns back to ask for Ohma's name. "Hey, your husband to be his name? The sea with her man?" Bro, shut up, special kid. Kazi tells her Ohma's name, and she begins chanting it and says that she'll see Ohma again. Carla goes back to her grandpa and reveals that she's falling in love. This shocks the guy, and he's like, "Oh, I would really want to meet this man who's won the heart of my daughter." After his daughter walked off, he becomes super enraged. "That bastard! He's 30 years old. How dare he try to seduce my Minecraft daughter?" It's finally the day of the fight and everyone is extremely hyped, so this tournament better be worth the 7 episodes of build up. First up is this Genshin Impact player who's known for choking his opponents out. Also, holy crap, the effects are absolutely insane. The guy who he's about to face off against is this gang member. The Genshin Impact player actually blisses him. He manages to get the dude on the ground and mounts him, then beats him into a coma. He has a little trouble though when this guy tries to punch him off. The guy becomes possessed and Genshin Impact player dashes in but gets grabbed and punched, which sends him bouncing off the planet. He somehow still manages to get up, but gets grabbed and sent flying. Genshin player though blisses him and attempts to overwhelm him, but he gets punched in the gut. Gang member dashes forward, but Genshin player counters him. He backs up but gets into his wrestling stance. They face off but soon dash at each other. Dude smashes Genshin player into the ground and then picked him up. Also, damn! The cake on this man! The gang member begins smashing his face into the ground, but he suddenly hears the ref saying that it's over. Dude becomes confused and begins hallucinating. He then saw his ass being choked out by this Genshin player. Okay, if this is what Kengan Impact's matches are like, I can definitely say that I'm all for it. Not gonna lie, this brother Genshin Impact player is hella caked up for no reason. Oh my lord. The next fight is with this big guy, who used to be a Giga Chad, but he became a Discord mod. He's almost 8 feet tall and weighs 700 pounds. Dude shows up asking for candy, but it's time for his opponent to step in. It's this police guy, who's a justice freak. Before the fight even starts, dude is already breathing heavy. The fight begins and dude charges him. He misses all of his punches, and as dude tries to kick him, this behemoth does a spinning backflip and tackles him. I guess the bulk worked cause he blisses the dude, but gets countered. The police guy continues to block his attack, and suddenly cuts the Discord mod. He cuts the Discord mod over and over. Ohma though gets disinterested and leaves. As the big dude charges him, the police guy kicks his leg before punching his face. He then combos the man, and as Discord mod grabs his gi and attempts to punch him, police guy slips out and kicks the dude's legs. Turns out the reason why this police guy is so strong is because he has a kid helping him. The Discord mod's guy's boss begins threatening to send him back to his country. He begins getting enraged at the thought of being sent back to his country. In fact, he's so afraid of having no internet that he charges forward but gets fingered in the arm. He tries to fight back but gets countered. The Discord mod gets parried each time, then kneed in the stomach. Police guy's kin is helping him defeat this giant Discord mod. The fight continues and police guy spams leg kicks. As the big dude charges him, police guy folds him before completely leaving. The fight seems to be over as the ref tries to announce that the match is over. The Discord mod suddenly gets up and stands over him like a menace. He then activates Kung Fu Panda and teleports at the police guy. Police guy tries to block it and his kin begins panicking cause she can't analyze bro's new form. Discord mod continues to beat up the police guy and sends him flying back. Police guy gets up and faces the big guy, but the big guy begins losing weight on the spot due to him doing cardio for the first time in his life. He dashes forward and the police guy, Kin, begins panicking. Police guy is now being beaten to a pulp, and as Kin begins crying in his ear, he tells her to shut up. As he prepares to kill the Discord mod suddenly falls and begins crying about his knee, which he did just take 20 leg kicks to the knee, so I can see why. Police guy gets up and kicks him onto the ground. That was a pretty damn epic fight. Police guy walks into the tunnel. His kin approaches him to apologize.
I'm sorry. He was just so damn fast.
Shut up, woman. All you're good for is cleaning and cooking. She begins begging this guy and using her tears to get him to forgive her. He smears her blood before walking off. You'll have one more chance.
Oh yeah, I feel
Ohma's friend Special Kid was taking a leak, but this guy appears behind him without anything on him. Special Kid becomes angry and tries to fight the man, but gets folded off screen. This man's name is Ryan's Toy Review, and he's part of one of the most powerful families that goes by Kuru. He's facing off against this sister lover who comes from Alabama. Do not let the clothes fool you. Ryan's Toy Review suddenly kicks him and begins trading hella shots. Ryan is now bouncing everywhere and backs up before dashing at him. Ryan though blinds him and tries to punch him, but Holy Dude interlock their hands intimately. He then begins treating Ryan Toys Review like a kid before suddenly squeezing his hand back, and these guys have a match of who could hold each other's hands better. Ryan tries to headbutt him, but the dude uppercuts him. The Holy Guy then boxes him up, and as Ryan tries to trade, he gets judo thrown into the ground. Everyone's like, damn, what the hell? Ryan's Toy Review lost? Ryan though suddenly goes Super Saiyan and begins jumping like a menace. He begins speaking crazy and goes full junkie mode. He dashes forward and smacks this man into heaven before blissing this holy man and making him see a demon for the first time. His special move allows him to tap into almost 100% of his strength, which allows him to grab this man and throw him. He then slams him into the ground and begins choking him. Holy man though gets into a flashback and begins harnessing the backstory ninjutsu. So with the power of loving your own sister, he gets his ass beat. His sister cheers his brother on, and he begins blocking each punch with his face. He then uses genjutsu and tries to finger Ryan, but he gets punched and then grabbed by the throat. Ryan goes on a crazy monologue before snapping this man's neck, killing him. Ryan then begins laughing and clowning this fool. Damn, who is this menace? This man Ryan is actually insane. Most people lack grip strength, which is one of the biggest key factors to us not being able to lift more than we actually can in the gym. And also, you won't perform as well in clinches and in grappling if you neglect grip strength. That's why I've been using a 100 kg gripper for the past 30 days, and it has significantly improved my grip when doing workouts and martial arts. Not only that, but it's really convenient whenever I'm in class or on the bus. 100 kg grip strength should definitely be on the list when you're trying to obtain strength. You can find the gripper in the description at hardgainers.com. But it's finally time for Ohma to step into the arena. One of his Simps begins moaning and saying,
Oh my goodness, Ohma, you look so delicious. Come to daddy.
Ohma has to face off against this homeless Fanboy. Ohma sees this man with the worst posture possible, and he already knows that whoever stands like this is about to do some crazy shit. The fight starts and they begin blissing each other. Ohma boxes this fool and begins trading. He kicks the Fanboy back, but this guy suddenly begins dashing forward like a possessed demon. Ohma tries to kick him, but he ends up getting comboed. Ohma is now clicking his tongue as this Fanboy begins shuffling at lightning speed, but suddenly Ohma punches him. Ohma begins jumping around and beating on this poor homeless Fanboy. He sends him back with a body shot, but as he tries to kick this dude, Ohma suddenly stops. Turns out that this weirdo is using his hair to stop Ohma's attacks, which makes no sense. Ohma tries to pull his leg away, but this guy flips him onto the ground. Homeless Fanboy then begins whipping Ohma into the good old days. Ohma dashes at him, but gets tripped and is swung like a helicopter. He then begins getting whipped over and over and over again. As people think that Ohma is losing, Kazi here suddenly begins grinning, but he's actually just freaking out. Ohma is being choked and strangled by this demon. As this guy thinks that he has Ohma, Ohma suddenly begins laughing like a maniac. Dude then powers up and activates his Super Saiyan. He dashes forward at the dude and begins beating his ass. Dude gets beaten so badly that he literally gets his skull beat in. He tries to kick Ohma, but Ohma counters him. Demon Fanboy suddenly begins simping for Ohma. Ohma though just smashes his face in and kills him. Ohma notices that this guy, this man, this Fanboy died while climaxing in his pants. His number one simp begins going crazy and thrusting the air. Bro, Ohma, you gotta do something about these simps. Ohma and Ryan are about to fight each other next, so this is about to get crazy.
Somehow we were able to resuscitate him. Your big brother's going to make it.
The sister lover got revived, which actually makes me happy, cause I don't want to see this Alabama resident die on me. He's still an American. We get to see this Dr. Eggman looking guy face off against this blonde guy, who I haven't come up with a nickname for. This is a side character fight, but the man runs at him, but gets punched so hard in the gut that he gets slammed into the wall. Dude, that was some Mortal Kombat type shit. Next fight is this grotesque monster, mushroom person, whom I am terrified of. He's actually face off against this mega Johnny Sins, who's built like a brick wall. As this fight is about to begin, the match gets decided and Johnny Sins instantly wins. Turns out that the manager got threatened to surrender. These guys prepare to start the next round, but he gets kicked in the face by this Fanboy, who is very angry. They say that they're about to jump this Fanboy though, and as this big guy gets up and begins charging him, actually he doesn't even charge him, he just jumps around around the walls. He tries to hit this Fanboy, but this mushroom guy smashes him into the floor. Dude isn't even phased and instantly gets up like it's nothing. Mega Johnny Sin says that he's gonna take care of this mushroom kid, but mushroom kid does a Sharknado move and kicks him in the neck. This does absolutely nothing, and he just grabs his leg and crushes it before spinning him around and smashing him into the wall. Okay, I know that that thing was a freak, but you did not have to do that. Mega Johnny Sin tries to finish him, but a can gets thrown at his head. Turns out that it's this badass Kazi who accidentally threw a can at this big guy. Honestly, Kengan Impact has so many fanboys that it's got me acting up, bruh. Like I'm editing this video with one hand. This Fanboy realizes if Kazi the GOAT gets involved, it'll be trouble. So he throws the needle at Kazi, but this man dodges it with his Ultra Instinct. Everyone gets resolved, but wait, there's one more fight that is even crazier. That is the craziest fight you'll ever see in anime. Like heads up, there is eye gouging, throating, fingering. I'ma just have to show to y'all, but just know, warning, this is very graphic. The next contestant goes by Lane Pipe. Yes, that's his name, which you can clearly see why he's called that. I can't even show y'all this. Just know that he ran through like 20 women in the middle of the halls before getting there. Lane Pipe is actually faced off against this giant special kid who comes in here with the worst posture known to mankind. He also looks hella crazy. The fight begins and this big guy charges him and slams him into the ground. Dude mounts him and begins diddling him. Lane Pipe begins punching Fool over and over, but dude just leans in and begins choking his ass. Lane Pipe suddenly pokes his eyes out though, but this doesn't do much, so he fingers his ear. But this guy begins getting even crazier. Lane Pipe is now being strangled even harder, and dude tries to make him call him daddy. Giant special kid suddenly gouges dude's eyes. As he tries again, Lane Pipe crushes his nuts, which makes this man moan in the most heavily tone. Dude freaks out and rolls away. Seems like he can't feel pain. Dude approaches Lane Pipe, but Lane Pipe trips him before breaking his arm and beating him up. Giant special kid gets beaten to the ground. He gets up all crippled. Lane Pipe, despite having his eyes gouged out, can still fight cause bro was already blind. Giant special kid runs at him like a maniac, but Lane Pipe counters him, but he suddenly hip throws him. Lane Pipe though hits his head and fingers his throat. This guy freaks out and begins charging dude, but he gets his head snapped and finished by getting his eyes fingered. He pretty much falls down and dies after this. Y'all, from what we learned from Kengan Ashura is that Femboys everywhere, Simps. There is a season 2 of Kengan Impact that I can cover if this video gets 2,000 likes. I think y'all got it.